30% chance of rain. Well, back in 1974 at the Talladega 500, it was the last time that Charlie Glotzback raced on this speedway, but he's in today's field and will be starting in 11th position.
Bob, not only did he race and enter, but he was one of the standouts of the field that year. As a matter of fact, he was one of the stronger super speedway racers in all of NASCAR back in those years. He set a track record here at Talladega that stood for a considerable length of time, and yesterday I asked him, why, Charlie, did you end up being the odd man out? There is on the outside there in that white number 49. He says, well, Larry, I'll tell you, I wanted to be out of racing. I just didn't like psychologically the way things were going on. But to give you an indication of how much respect he still has, Junior Johnson has been helping this crew out this week.
All right, let's check the starting lineup for today's ARCA Permatex 500-kilometer race. It's 117 laps. Tracy Reed will start from pole position. Outside will be Grant Adcox. In row number 2, Bobby Coyle and Dave Fletcher. In row number 3, Dave Simcoe and Bob Schacht. Going in row number 4, Jerry Churchill and Kirk Bryant. Starting in row number 5 will be Don Marmer and Charlie Glotzback. In the 6th row, Patty Simcoe and Bob Keselowski. Going to row number 7, Red Farmer and Lee Raymond. In the 8th row will be Bob Dotter and Jerry Huffman. Bobby Waywack and Tom Ussery going from row number 9. In the 10th row, it's Rick Jeffrey and Mark Gibson. And in row number 11, Ralph Jones and Chuck Schrodel. In the 12th row, as the field comes off of corner number 4, it'll be Keith Seegers and Terry Pearson. In the 13th row, Gary Bettenhausen and Bobby Jacks. Row number 14, Bob Breback and Gary Newfer. In the 15th row, the pace car pulling off, Randy Smith and Billy Simmons. In row number 16, Bobby Baker and Gary Brooks. The 17th row, Rick O'Brien and Tony Spanos, the Australian. 18th row, Frankie Gridler and Bill Flowers. The 19th row, Glenn Moon and Bill Scott. 20th row, Maurice Randall and Bill Venturini. Here comes the field. They cross the stripe. The green flag is out. And from outside of row number 1, it is Grant Adcox has taken the lead, and a car is smoking badly already in the apron of turn 1.
That's Jerry Churchill. As soon as he got on the throttle, he qualified at better than 200 miles an hour. As soon as he got on the throttle, he crossed the start-finish line. It erupted. Jerry Churchill is out of it, a veteran of ARCA. He was looking forward to one of his strongest races ever.
The question is, the yellow flag is out, so we may have a race back to the flag here and then slow down because of the blown engine. The question that is raised in our minds, was there oil put down on the track because of the Churchill blown engine? Anyway, they race toward the stripe now, and the yellow flag is being displayed.
Bob, there is a big stripe of oil in the bottom lane. I hope everybody sees it. The yellow has been out for over a half a lap. Nobody seems to be slipping and sliding as they come to the tri-oval, but I can see the stripe.
So the cars are slowed down now, under caution, so we didn't even run a complete lap under green before we went to our first caution period because of the blown engine on this car, driven by Jerry Churchill. That's the Churchill Transport Chevrolet. He qualified at 201.231 miles an hour. There's Ralph Jones in the number 92 car. Now that is wrenched by or at least prepared somewhat by the Bill Elliott crew. Ralph started this race in 21st position. There he is in car number 92.
He started in the back. Those of you that follow ARCA racing probably say, hey, wait a minute, whoa, doesn't he normally qualify up towards the front? Yes, he does, but he had problems the first day of qualifying. Now, this is Ralph Jones going to the inside, down the backstretch. This is a race back to the yellow, as near as we can tell, and look at all the machinery that Ralph Jones, there he goes underneath Bobby Jacks, the outside of Terry Pearson, two other longtime ARCA racers. Jones is still picking them off. There's Rick Jeffrey in the blue car as they go into turn number 3. And the veteran Ralph Jones making hay while the sun shines brightly here in Alabama.
He was the second fastest second-day qualifier at 198.705. But boy, it's very obvious that he is going to be making a move toward the front. There he is, Ralph Jones. So the track crew is on the speedway right now because of some oil on the track dumped by Jerry Churchill, whose engine let go right at the drop of the green flag. We'll take a break and be back with more of the Permatex 500. Third caution period of the day, and this most recent one, which came out on lap number 18, was for an accident involving the number 17 car of Billy Simmons. He flipped coming through the tri-oval, as we take a look at it, you can see the car sliding on its roof and then finally turning over. The car will come to rest at the entrance to pit road. A lot of dust kicked up by the accident.
And we've had a very warm and very dry week here at Talladega, and you can see evidence of it, dust kicking up. Pace car darting into the pits. We're ready to go green with Grant Adcox back up front.
Here we go. We are back to racing at Talladega. We are 23 laps into this 117-lap event, and we have run 17 of the 23 laps under caution. So not a whole lot of racing to report on at this point. Hopefully we can go now with some good competition on the racetrack. We will tell you that Charlie Glotzback, who is running in the top 5, has gone to his pit for a check of an oil leak. He's back out on the racetrack. Also, our pole sitter, number 28, Terry Reed, has made a pit stop as we watch the action on the backstretch.
And Gary Bettenhausen, who had moved up very well, he pitted underneath this yellow, and Dave Simcoe in the top 5.
And there is Gary Bettenhausen and Charlie Glotzback racing out there. Both have come onto the Speedway from pit stops, and looks like that Gary is pulling away from Charlie, who may be having some trouble with that car.
He really is, Bob. Either Gary's picked up a lot of speed or Charlie's lost a lot of speed, but Gary Bettenhausen has looked strong here. Once the field strung out, Gary obviously biding his time, feeling very racy. He moved up quite well before the long yellow, made a pit stop, and now he's moving up to the field quickly.
Gary Bettenhausen, of course, from Monrovia, Indiana, the IndyCar driver who occasionally competes in ARCA races, as he is this afternoon here at Talladega. Now Glotzback beginning to close in on Gary as the cars swing off of that second corner and go down the backstretch. There's a look at Gary Bettenhausen from the famous racing family. Look at Charlie move to the outside as they go down the backstretch at speeds near 200 miles an hour. We're watching 24th and 25th place here.
Lots of slower traffic in front of them. Slower traffic, not a lap down, but cars that don't appear to be running with quite the velocity, kind word, that Gary Bettenhausen in the red number 99, the family number 99, and that man, Charlie Glotzback, in the white number 49. Look at this. Now Charlie is dropped behind. You can see all those people directly in front of him. First up, the number 55 car, Keith Seegars.
Moving into turn number 1, it's 3 abreast through there. Now we'll watch Bettenhausen again go to the high side as the cars move through corner number 2. Cannot make the pass. Yeah, he gets off the accelerator just a little bit and thinks better of it, but now probably will try to make the move as they go down the backstretch.
Around Bobby Coyle. He was the 4th fastest qualifier. Started this race in 3rd. First time ever on a super speedway. There goes Glotzback to the high side. Oh, it gets close. Going in there. Frankie Girdler is also in that mix-up right there.
Gary making the easy pass there on the low side of the racetrack, so he now has a little bit of open racetrack in front of him.
It's interesting that not that many of the top runners pitted, because about a third of this race will be 39 laps. That is over 100 miles, 104 miles to be exact. We've already gone 26 laps, so after about lap 32 or 33, we might anticipate normal pit stops.
You can see the interval now between first and second, also second and third positions, and then back to third and fourth, and there is a 3-car battle for that 4th position. Here they come through the tri-oval. The cars involved are number 90, 97, and 77. That's Mark Gibson, also Red Farmer, and Bobby Waywack.
Farmer and Wawak got to be considered somewhat of a surprise to run up that close to the front. There's Wawak. We told you earlier, most of his experience is he goes around the high side of Farmer and immediately puts the challenge on Mark Gibson. Used a little bit of his draft going down the backstretch, 4,000 feet. It's about 3/4 of a mile, and Bobby Wawak takes the line in at number 3, but Gibson holds on the high side. The Florida driver tenaciously trying to hold back Wawak, and he may have him. Let's watch him close as they come out of turn number 4. They go to the tri-oval, remember.
Side by side, door handle to door handle, coming through the tri-oval once again. Look at Red Farmer sneak up on Gibson and Waywack through here. Red Farmer, of course, in that trailing yellow car, the original member of the Alabama gang. Now he's right up on the back bumper of Mark Gibson as they move into turn number 1. Gibson takes the position away from Waywack, and here comes Red Farmer, racing side by side with Waywack off of corner number 2 and down the backstretch. So some real great competition.
Many of these drivers, Wawak would be the exception, that man right there, are not accustomed to the draft. Wawak has not had that much of an opportunity, however, in his NASCAR career of running in the draft with the leaders and using it to pass people. I think he might have picked up a little bit of a cue the last lap down the backstretch, but this lap, look at the distance he has dropped behind Red Farmer suddenly.
And now the fourth-place car of Gibson is approaching the third-place car of Lee Raymond. We have a spin, I believe, on the backstretch. Maurice Randall at number 93 is spinning down the backstretch on the grass inside of the racetrack.
It's always a tough break whenever anybody crashes, Bob, but Morris is the guy that we've seen come to Winston Cup races towing on an open-air trailer all the way from Charlotte, Michigan. They call it Charlotte up there, down to the Charlotte area of North Carolina. He often comes to races all by himself. Last night, Bob, when we were doing the Speedway special in the museum, he was down on the ground measuring the dimensions and the road height on Buddy Arrington's Chrysler that's sitting in the museum. He was doing some homework while we were working in the museum last night.
You can see how heavily damaged the front end of that number 93 car is, but we are seeing again some movement from the cockpit of that race car, so hopefully Maurice Randall not seriously injured. The incident began as he came off of corner number 2 and began to speed down the backstretch.
There you can see the smoke. Morris is down on the infield. Impact there, right-hand side of the screen, getting into the dirt with the front end of the car, almost a head-on, but the soft dirt. We mentioned it's been a hot week here in Talladega. The dirt in the banking is dry, at least the ground on the top level, and that cushioned the blow a little bit for Morris.
This is our fourth caution period of the afternoon. The ambulance has arrived at the scene. We have not seen... Now there he is, climbing out of the race car. And it appears as if Maurice Randall is going to be okay. So we have had two very spectacular-looking crashes here. The first one involving the number 17 of Billy Simons, and now Maurice Randall's number 93 involved in a crash on the backstretch. The car hit the inside retaining wall, but both drivers have been able to walk away to the ambulances.
You know, Bob, it's unlikely that everybody can go the distance on 2 pit stops, but if we have a lot of yellow flags, maybe they can. Nobody seems to be interested in pitting right now.
This is our fourth caution of the afternoon. The yellow flag is being displayed. We're at Talladega, Alabama for the ARCA Permatex 500. Laps completed in the ARCA Permatex 500. The top 5, David Simcoe leading, Tracy Reed second, Gary Bettenhausen is third, Patty Simcoe is fourth, and Keith Seegers is fifth. Now the Automobile Racing Club of America and ESPN present a Track Fact. And this Track Fact is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
The tires that are in use today at Talladega are among the toughest and hardest in all of automobile racing. There's a very simple reason for that. This speedway puts perhaps more pressure on a racing tire than any speedway in the world. It hasn't been repaved in almost 10 years, and as a result, its surface is very abrasive. To counteract that abrasive surface, Goodyear engineers have given the competitors a very thin tread, only about 1/8 of an inch. As a result, on virtually every yellow flag pit stop, you'll see the drivers come in and change all 4 tires on the car. This is one racetrack where, for sure, fresh tires are the fast way around.
And we have seen some fast competition here in this race. They were setting a pace of about 199 miles an hour before we had the most recent caution period caused by an accident on the backstretch involving Maurice Randall. Now the pace car leads the field off of corner number 4, and the pace car pulls to the inside of the track, now the pit area, as we are about to go back to green. The leaders have pitted. And so up front is David Simcoe, who pitted earlier. Tracy Reed, our pole sitter, is back in second position. And in third at the moment is the 99 car of Gary Bettenhausen, who started this race in 25th. It's been a good run for Gary.
He is third, and it appears to be a rising third. That is Jerry Churchill down at the bottom in that red, yellow numeral 11. Remember, he lost several laps at the beginning of this race. He does not have a shot at it, but he's out there trying to pick up, well, at least another one of the laps that he has lost.
It was a valve cover problem that put Jerry Churchill in the pit area, but he's back in competition now as David Simcoe flashes down the backstretch and into corner number 3.
Dave Simcoe, who has driven for the family company for quite a number of years. The Mound Company up in Cleveland is Michigan is whom David and his sister Patty have driven for. David, a few years ago, frankly, was a little scary on the big racetracks. He had a couple of hair-raising rides, and for a while it didn't look as though perhaps it was in his best interest to keep running the big tracks, but he stuck with it, and he has really improved a lot in the last 2 or 3 seasons. And I have felt for about the last 12 months that Dave Simcoe was in line for a major win on the ARCA circuit sometime soon.
And there is Jerry Churchill in the number 11. Once again, he is not on the lead lap because of a problem experienced at the very drop of the green flag. A huge puff of smoke came from the Churchill car, and he went to the pit area. Simcoe comes off of the 4th corner once again and into the tri-oval. Will complete 37 laps this time by. 117 will make up this 500-kilometer race that they're running here this afternoon.
Now, as he mentioned, during the last caution flag, several of the top people pitted. Now, it will be interesting to see if this race goes mostly green for the rest of today, how this out of sync that half of the top runners pitted on about lap 20 and half on about lap 30, whether or not that will play a factor in the latter stages of this event. Simcoe is one of the people who pitted early. That man right there, Tracy Reed, is another one who pitted around lap 20.
And Tracy Reed is in 2nd position at the moment. After having made a pit stop earlier, he has worked his way back to the front of the field. He once again was the pole sitter of this race, not the fastest qualifier. That distinction went to Bill Venturini, but because of his accident in practice yesterday, Tracy Reed in the Hardee's Oldsmobile started from the pole position with an average speed of 205.111 miles an hour.
Tracy Reed continuing to motor smoothly. His first effort on a super speedway, driving Cale Yarborough's backup car. This was actually the car that Cale planned to run this weekend in the Winston Cup race, but it didn't feel just right to him. Going back to Bill Venturini, that is also a Winston Cup car. This is the backup car out of the Helen Ray stable that Dave Marcus had sitting on the truck. Bill, the fastest qualifier in this Amco Oil K&L spring and stamping special, crashed in practice late yesterday afternoon. He was supposed to start at the pole, but had to start last.
And as Bill told you in our pre-race conversation from pit road with Dr. Jerry Punch, he is not all that familiar with this car. As a matter of fact, when he got in the car just before the race, he didn't even know how to start it. So he's just feeling his way around out there and not taking any chances. Number 25, Bill Venturini.
He's got a shot, Bob. You know, that's Bob Dotter right in front of him, the elder Bob Dotter, a 3-time national champion. There goes Venturini to the high side of him right now. And they are running with Bob Schacht. He's right behind him to the right of the picture. So that's an indication that Venturini has kept pace. There's Schacht, you see on the middle of the screen in that red car, has kept pace with the top runners of ARCA.
Bill Venturini, best known perhaps in ARCA competition for the fact that he has an all-female pit crew, and he's the owner and operator of several Amoco service stations in the area. There's the number 67 car of Bobby Baker that is smoking and pulling to the apron of the racetrack.
One of the oldest chassis in today's race, as you can see, wearing the Arrington colors. This is a man we had on ESPN earlier this year when he competed in and qualified for his first ever Winston Cup race at North Wilkesboro.
And he, I hope, is going to make it to the pit area. And if he does, we will not have a caution period. The car is running very slowly now on the bottom of the racetrack. Meanwhile, we go back and check the progress of our leader. And he's opened up now quite an interval between himself and second place Terry Reed. The leader is David Simcoe. And here's some great competition back here as the choo-choo train has formed. Drafting is going on. Grant Adcox is in that white and orange car in 3rd in line as they come through.
Jerry Churchill is leading that group. Remember, again, he's several laps down. The 55 car, Pete Seegers, is with the red nose there right to the inside of Adcox. Adcox trying to make his way to the front. All these people have stayed on the same lap because of all the yellow flags and all of the pitting.
Grant Adcox in car number 2, there on the high side of the racetrack, running alongside Jerry Churchill, is running in 6th position.
That's Kirk Gibson in a black car on the high side. He's hidden right now. Remember, he ran in the top 3, a black and silver car. Charlie Glotzback is being heard from again. As the leaders, the fast drivers who made those late pit stops around lap 31, lap 32, there's Ralph Jones going to the high side of Churchill, are trying to make their way to the front.
Again, Charlie Klotzbach made an unscheduled pit stop because of a reported oil leak, but he is back out there and running strong at the moment, certainly in the top 10. 42 laps have been completed now, and the battle for second place is beginning to heat up as 3 cars are going for it, but Terry Reed has second place at the moment. Gary Bettenhausen also right there.
Remember that Bettenhausen started in the middle of the pack and bided his time in the early stages. He's in that bright red number 99. Talk about the difference in experience. The veteran Gary Bettenhausen, who has raced several times at Indianapolis, looked like he had the line going into turn number 4, but Tracy ran a more traditional stock car line. Gary Bettenhausen taking kind of an open wheel line in the number 3.
I think, as Doe points out, that Mr. Reed has learned quickly. Remember, this is his first time on a super speedway, but he pulled off that move very, very nicely. And Tracy holding on now to that 3rd spot.
There's Adcox up there. Boy, he shot out of a cannon. Suddenly, Grant Adcox is in among them.
Adcox to the bottom side of the racetrack now, moving through corner number 2. It's a partly cloudy day here this afternoon, so we have sunshine and warm temperatures at times, but when the clouds cover the sun, the temperatures drop a little bit. Adcox running wheel to wheel with Gary Bettenhausen, and Charlie Klotzbach, and number 49 is also right there. And
Klotzbach took the line that defeated him the last lap. There goes Bobby Wallach to the high side of Klotzbach, or to the high side of Adcox. Klotzbach now to the high side of Adcox. They're trading positions like stamps up front.
Charlie Klotzbach, who at one time in Winston Cup competition was equal to what Dale Earnhardt is in 1987 competition at Winston Cup. But Charlie has fairly retired from at least the major stock car racing and concentrates on short tracks in the Indiana area. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And then with Andy Griggs, he's crew chief for Gary Bettenhausen. You guys qualified in 25th, but you're all the way up to 4th now. Where'd all the speed come from, Andy?
Well, we didn't have her dialed in there for qualifying, but we've done quite a bit of work since then, and we've got it dialed in pretty good.
Is there more speed in this car than you're showing now? Can you run fast enough to lead?
If we had a little bit more time, we would have got more speed out of it.
What will you do on your next pit stop?
Well, we'll just fuel it up, check the tires, and let them go.
No tire change? No tire change?
Unless he slows down.
That's the story from the Bettenhausen pit.
So 4 cars battling for position here. Being led by the number 28 car of Tracy Reed, then Gary Bettenhausen, then Red Farmer in 97, and Charlie Klotzbach. They're 3 abreast through corner number 2, coming onto the backstretch. It is still Bettenhausen holding down that 3rd position. Red Farmer is in the yellow car right behind, and Charlie Klotzbach in the white car right behind Red.
We refer to the interesting blend of people that qualified near the front in this race, and this battle is Red Farmers moving up on Gary B around the high side of turn number 4. This battle is emblematic of that interesting combination. The veteran Red Farmer, the veteran stock car racer from down here in the South. He's going to run the Talladega short track. That's dirt tonight. He runs the short track on favorite, and he likes running the big tracks also. That's the yellow number 97. Gary Bettenhausen, many-time starter at Indianapolis, still likes to get into the sprint cars, the super modifieds. Charlie Klotzbach in that white number 49. He was once a building legend in Winston Cup, then Grand National Stock Car Racing, and now he's showing signs that maybe I'd like to come back. And Grant Adcox in that white-orange trim car. Remember, the man in 1986 was invincible in ARCA. Oh, he's making it 4 lanes up the backstretch. He was the man who was invincible in ARCA on the super speedways in 1986.
Well, he took the really low road there at the end of the backstretch. Now he pulls alongside Gary Bettenhausen and challenges for that 5th, make it 4th position. And Charlie Klotzbach in the white number 49 beginning to show some muscle here in this race. It's been a great race as long as we can stay under green, but we have had 4 caution periods for a total of 22 laps. We're at lap number 47 now, and Charlie Klotzbach has moved into that 4th position.
Bob, it's been a tremendous race. It truly has. These crews do not have nearly as much experience as their Winston Cup counterparts do in setting up cars to run at a place like Talladega. But the cars seemingly are running on several different lanes of the racetrack. Some people are trying low. That's where Bettenhausen is right now. We've seen people motoring strongly on the high side. They've been running on all sides, all lanes of the racetrack, and doing it solidly.
8th, 9th, and 10th here. Mark Gibson and Ralph Jones. Jones has certainly shown muscle at times during this race. He got a very poor starting position, 21st, but he has certainly been a factor in the competition, as now he races right alongside the number 90 black and silver car of Mark Gibson from Auburn, Georgia. And also involved in this, and Bobby Jacks moves up, and it looks like gives Ralph Jones a little bit of a nudge at the tail end of the car.
He might have straightened him out, you know that, Bob, because Ralph was fighting it. Bobby came by and gave him a nudge, but it was very flat. It was a frontal area there, and it kind of straightened the car up and away he went.
And now Dave Fletcher beginning to move once again. The Clearwater, Florida driver in the orange number 01, and Bobby Jacks are door handle to door handle in turn 4.
And Lee Raymond there, 5th in line, a bright orange number 1. The number is not given number 1 to the champion of ARCA, but it's emblematic of this man who has been a very strong reigning ARCA champion for the past couple of years.
Lap number 49 completed. And now we have a battle for the lead developing as Red Farmer has come on to move in on the lead car, number 51 of Dave Simcoe. Let's see how Red handles the situation now at the end of the backstretch. Will he make a turn and move in turn number 3? He stays behind Dave Simcoe for the time being. They have to go to the high side to pass a slower car. Now Red looks between the two cars. Here they come off of the 4th turn and onto the tri-oval. Grant Adcock's right there also in 3rd position. So this is a great battle for the lead. Adcock's now moving alongside Red Farmer at the stripe. Grant Adcock's has 2nd position. Now will he take over the lead? Yes, he does. Adcock's moves to the front.
Red Farmer is now looking for a way to get around. You can see Tracy Reed has moved up. Glotzback has moved up. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they are all on the same lap. This is a race speed contest.
We have had 3 lead changes among 2 drivers at this point, but I think we're going to see more before this race is over. Look at the competition. Glotzback to the low side of the racetrack.
It must be an optical illusion because you can't dirt track at Talladega, but he looks like he is, Bob.
Well, that's what Charlie has been doing the last few seasons, driving the small dirt tracks in the southern Indiana area around Louisville, Kentucky. But boy, his talent as a super speedway driver, it doesn't look like has eroded at all in the past few years. So great racing as we present to you from Alabama International Motor Speedway, the ARCA Permatex 500, back in just a moment. Bob Jenkins, Larry Newber, Dick Berggren, and Jerry Punch back at Talladega, Alabama. Alabama International Motor Speedway for ARCA competition. This is the battle for the lead. Charlie Glotzback is about to go into the lead as he goes to the inside of Brent Adcock. Let's see how they are when they cross the stripe. They're side by side. Adcock holds him off.
Glotzback has been running. He made that look easy. It did not look like that he had enough momentum to get around Adcock. I was about to say that it appears as though his best opportunity to get by would be to stay low, and he did, and he got by very quickly after a great one-lap battle with Adcock. What a terrific story this would be as we see Adcock sitting on the high side of Rick Jeffrey if Charlie Glotzback could come back and win this race. It's been more than 10 years since that man right there has run regularly. It's been more than 10 years since he's had a competitive ride on a super speedway. This is a car that was originally built over the winter of 1985-86, no, not 86-87, for the Junior Johnson stable. Well, it just didn't work out right. The car never saw any Winston Cup competition, and so they let Charlie use it for this weekend. They put together a deal, and the Junior has kind of been helping them get this thing together.
Look at this freight train moving across the stripe. Ralph Jones in number 92 leads 4 cars, including Lee Raymond, across the stripe. Raymond now looking to the outside of Ralph Jones in corner number 2. They'll go down the backstretch in single file formation, doing a little bit of drafting. Now Raymond looking to the inside of Ralph Jones as the number 29 car of Bob Keselowski is also right there looking for a position. Cross the stripe with Ralph Jones in that position, then Raymond, then Keselowski, and then Dave Fletcher. And that's for 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Ralph Jones, who has just one career ARCA win, despite all the poles that he's had, all the speed records. One time he held the absolute ARCA record for speed, a qualifying lap well in excess of 200 miles an hour. He seems to be competitive whenever he runs, and he really likes the super speedways, but he has only won one time in his career. Raymond, on the other hand, has had a very successful ARCA career. He's come on strong the last couple of seasons. His career win total is now up to 7, and Keselowski, who's running right behind him, is another driver who has improved along with the entire ARCA contingent the past 3 or 4 seasons. Keselowski also has one career win.
Once again, we're watching the battle for 10th position involving 3 cars, Jones, Lee Raymond, and Bob Keselowski. The pace of the race, still incredible. 198.18 miles an hour was the speed of the leader the last time by, and the leader of this race is the number 49 car of Charlie Glotzback, and here is Patty Simcoe, who earlier established an absolute female qualifying speed record in the pits. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, the crew chief told me the only real problem that they had was that they needed to put fuel in it. That shouldn't have happened, but she did come in with a stalled engine. They're also putting a right front tire on it, talking to each other. They are not yet ready to go. It looks like a right rear tire as well. Patty Simcoe in the pit area. Jerry Punch down at pit road has more action. Jerry?
Well, the Hardee's Oldsmobile of Tracy Reed comes in, and the car stalls here in the pit. They will make a right side tire change. They pitted on lap 20. We're now showing 56 laps, so about 36 laps they went on green. That's about all you can go on a tank of fuel here in Talladega. Fitting the windshield, changing right side tires. Looks like a fairly slow pit stop, but just running out off the jack, and he had it in reverse. The car backing up, now back in first gear, down pit road.
Well, just a little bit of inexperience perhaps showing there by Tracy Reed as the car was in reverse, and it's really lucky that nobody was standing at the rear of that car, and he hit them, but nothing did happen, and Tracy Reed goes back onto the racetrack, but he unfortunately has lost a lap.
That's okay, Bob, as we look at Glotzback back up front. Tracy Reed has had a successful day up to this point. He has no experience on this type of racetrack. He admitted to one of our pit reporters before the race began, "Yes, sir, I'm nervous," and Jerry is down where another one of the leaders is sitting.
Dave Simcoe, the car number 51, the Mountain Dew Chevrolet, wasn't leader early on. Now, he came in on the very first caution flag, but not for a tire change, just to clean the oil off the windshield that was coming out of the Glotzback car. Now he did for his first tire change of the day. Right side tires, revving the engine, down off the jack, down on the way, 27.5 seconds, pretty good pit stop.
Simcoe blasts back out of pit road and onto the racetrack once again. While Simcoe is still in the race, we'll tell all you Kirk Bryant fans that he has dropped out after running in the top 10 early.
Now, Simcoe and Reed have lost ground. They have lost one lap, but as long as this race continues under green for about 10 more laps, 10 or 12 more laps, they'll be okay. Remember, there is a 10-lap differential between some of the leaders. Some of them pitted for the first time on lap 20, some on lap 30. The crucial point now is that the people who have not pitted, if they have to pit under green, all things will be balanced. If they get the opportunity to come in under yellow, it will be an advantage for them.
Chargin' Charlie Glotzback is back. Again, the last time he raced here at Talladega was 1974. The very first time he qualified here at Talladega, he set a qualifying lap of 199.466, and he's now going 199.9 miles an hour. We have a car smoking at the exit of turn number 2 onto the backstretch, and the caution flag comes out for our 5th caution of the afternoon.
That's Frankie Girdler. Frankie is one of the people who doesn't run often with ARCA. He started this race in 36th position. He has not been one of the front runners, but this could truly provide a big break for the people who have not pitted, who are running up amongst them.
We are at the halfway point, and there is the yellow flag and the cross flags being indicated. That, of course, the indication that we have reached the halfway point of this 500-kilometer race, and Charlie Glotzback is going to be shown as the leader at the midway point.
Bubba, I guess the cliche here is about riding a bicycle. Once you learn, even though you get off for 20 or 30 years and maybe try to make a living, you still remember how to do it when you get back on. And Charlie is really a living example of, if you're a solid racer on a super fast speedway like this, And if you stay in reasonable shape, and if you approach a major race like this with a great deal of thought, calculating, you can still do it. Charlie Glotzback, Bob, you said it, and it bears worth repeating. He is definitely back. Bob, he has not looked good. He has looked strong here today.
Well, we were talking to him before the race in the pit area this morning, and he was very relaxed about this. You know, we tried to find out if he was excited, if he was going to make this a regular thing now, and he says, well, we'll just take it race for race. For right now, this is only a one-race deal, but boy, should he win this race, you would think that somebody has to be putting a very close eye on Chargin' Charlie. There's the number 3 car, Frankie Girdler, and that is the reason for our caution period. Some smoke seen from that car, and they're checking the track now for some oil on the racetrack, and it appears as if the top runners will be coming in for another pit stop, including Charlie Glotzback and Grant Adcox. Here comes Charlie into his assigned pit. Let's go to the pit area and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Charlie Glotzback, the veteran Indiana driver, brings that Chevrolet Monte Carlo to a halt. You see the Budweiser crew going to work on the car. Pete Wright, the Jack Fan, Jeff Hammond, the crew chief, and Sammy Jones. They will make a right side tire change, and apparently they're going to come around and make a 4 tire change for Glotzback. Junior Johnson's number 1 crew changing tires for Charlie Glotzback. Let's go on down to Dick Berggren.
Now we're having some difficulty with Dick Berggren's mic. There is Red Farmer, who is coming down off the jacks, and he going back out onto the racetrack. So this caution period has forced almost everyone into the pits, at least everyone who was running up front. Charlie Glotzback is moving once again down pit road.
It'll be interesting, Bob, to see when everybody gets back out, we go back to green, who the front runners are, the swift runners are. Sometimes, you know, it changes the complexion when you stop like this in the middle of an event.
Just past the halfway mark, we're 61 laps out of 117 into this 500-kilometer race, and the all-girl pit crew of Bill Venturini, the crew headed by his wife, going to work on that car, number 25, putting in the fuel, changing the tires, wiping off the windshield, and now they're about to push him away. Bill Venturini goes back out onto the racetrack. We'll be back with more of this ARCA race from Alabama International Motor Speedway after this. We're in our 5th caution period of the day. It was originally caused by some smoke coming from the Frankie Girdler car, but some weather has moved in. A black cloud overhead right now and dropping some sprinkles on at least the tri-oval and pit area. However, this isn't really expected to cause much of a problem, as skies are generally clear, or at least much better, in the sections other than right over the racetrack. Now, the mid-race recap showed that Charlie Glotzback was the leader at the halfway point with a 3.8-second lead. His average speed was 132.56. That includes, of course, the caution periods. He was setting a pace of about 200 miles an hour when the caution came out. We have had 3 leaders and 3 lead changes. And there you see the yellow flag recap. 4 caution periods, and the 5th one most recently because of the Girdler blown engine and the light shower that's moved over the racetrack. And also we have a report on the cars that have dropped out of competition. Those 7 have called it quits for the afternoon. Now let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who's with Jeff Hammond, the crew chief on the Charlie Glotzback car. Jerry?
Well, you may recognize Jeff Hammond. He's the crew chief for Junior Johnson's Terry Labonte effort. You know, Jeff, talk about Glotzback being a veteran. Jeff was in the 9th grade when Charlie Glotzback was winning races for Junior Johnson. And, Jeff, I know it's got to be a privilege for you to be on the headset with a veteran driver. You watch a lot of races. What's Charlie telling you?
Well, right now, Jerry, we were talking about the weather. It's starting to rain. At first, it was just raining out here on the front stretch, and we were hoping it'd flow on by real quick. But now, Charlie let me know a few minutes ago, it's raining all the way on the racetrack. So we're hoping that the weather's going to break, because we've been fast on the last run right there. We were able to work our way all the way back up, I believe, from about 14th to 15th to take the lead. So, you know, we're wanting to go back green flag, and, you know, I think we can win this race. And Charlie, he's living up to his name, Charging Charlie. He's going to the front.
Well, it's a brand new race car that Charlie bought from Junior Johnson. In fact, Charlie came here and tested Junior's car for Terry Labonte last Saturday, the Winston Cup car. So Charlie Glotzback definitely a force to contend with. They don't want to see it rain. They want to see him get back up and let Charlie charge.
Well, we'd like to see the weather improve also, but for right now, a slight shower passing over the racetrack as 65 laps have been completed here in Talladega. Turned into a downpour, but now skies have cleared. We did have a red flag that stopped this race for a total of 33 minutes and 54 seconds. However, the caution flag is out now, and the word has been given that there is one more lap to go before we go back to the race. Here's the top 10. Mark Gibson is the leader. Red Farmer is running second, Bobby Waywack third, Grant Adcox fourth, and Bobby Jacks fifth. 6 through 10, Dave Pletcher, Lee Raymond, Ralph Jones, Bill Venturini, and Bob Brevac. Now, on the track, running in 13th position, the number 49 car of Charlie Glotzback. He was in second position, but when they rolled the cars out for a restart, he then came into the pit area for some work at the rear end of the car. Here's Jerry Punch with an explanation of exactly what that crew did.
Well, earlier when Charlie Glotzback was blowing some oil at the beginning of the race, they had an overflow problem with the oil tank in the rear of the car. They came in, made an unscheduled stop, tied some cloths around the tank, some tie wraps, but now those cloths have gotten oil soaked. There's still a small amount of oil oozing from that tank, so they came in, raised the rear deck of the car, took the old oily cloths off, put some fresh ones on, put a little bit of Speedy Dry in the trunk area to keep the oil soaked up. He is ready to go to the finish now.
The pace car pulls off. You can see pit road just a little bit wet still, but the racetrack itself is dry. And it's time for high speeds as the green flag comes back out. And this 500-kilometer race here in Talladega is back underway with 74 laps completed. 117 will make up this race as the field charges through turns 1 and 2. Tracy Reed in number 28 is the leader of the pack, but he is a lap down. Here comes Grant Adcox going to the front.
Adcox made the biggest move as the green flag dropped. He had a lot more momentum than everybody. He carried it through the first turn, the second turn, down the backstretch, and look at him slingshot way out to the lead. Grant Adcox grabs an advantage of about 10 or 12 car lengths.
Here they come through the tri-oval, and look at the interval that Adcox has put between himself and second place in just one lap. Grant Adcox, who has won the last 2 events here at Talladega in ARCA competition, is the leader. Mark Gibson is second. Red Farmer is third. And Adcox is just streaking away from his competitors. Well, let's go to Dick Bergen in the pit area. Dick, we've had a almost 34-minute weather delay, rain delay. How does this affect the cars and the drivers?
Well, Bob, one of the things it does is the drivers have to get revved back up again to go racing. They've had total concentration broken by this little brief intermission here. You can rest assured, though, since they're going almost 200 miles an hour, they'll get onto that program in a big hurry. The racetrack, importantly, however, will change. This rain will have washed off some of the rubber. The cars that were loose are going to do better. And there are several cars that were loose, and their crews are saying this is just terrific. The cars that were understeering, pushing, however, are going to be penalized by this. It's going to be tough to go. But I've got my eyes on one Red Farmer. If there is a story in this race, it is Mr. Farmer. That car was completed just barely in time for this event. They had only 7 laps on the automobile before they had to time trial it. Lost the engine in practice. Yesterday afternoon, last night I should say, Bobby Allison returned from a local race. They said, Bobby, we're in trouble. Can you help build us an engine? At 2 o'clock in the morning, Bobby Allison built the engine that is in Red Farmer's car right now. They came to the racetrack here so late today, they didn't even have time to put the radios in it. Farmer is communicating with his crew by hand signals. They got to the line so late, realistically, if they'd been 60 seconds later, they wouldn't have even made it. And here's Red Farmer challenging for position right now.
As a matter of fact, Nick, Red is on the move. He has moved all the way into second position. Now, again, that 28 car, driven by Tracy Reed, is a lap down. The second place car is the second in line, the yellow machine, driven by Red Farmer. Then Bobby Jacks in number 71 is running third, and a good run for Jacks as he began this race back in 26th position, but is already up to third.
Fourth in line there is Wawak, the second yellow car. That's Dave Simcoe moving on the inside. The yellow car with white trim. Lee Raymond is trying to follow him through. There they go. Simcoe goes by Wawak. Raymond follows him through. Gary Bettenhausen is in there. The far right-hand side of your screen is Ralph Jones. Bettenhausen, by the way, along with Bobby Coyle, remember him earlier in the race, started up front. They made late pit stops, and they are way behind. Bettenhausen also lost the lap. He hit it under green before the red flag. But as we watch these leaders, Bob, that last shot you saw quickly down the front stretch, you notice that Grant Adcox is nowhere in sight. There he is. It's absolutely astounding how much further he has bulldozed ahead. Look at that. He is 6 or 7 seconds ahead. We caught him at 6.5 on the last lap. He is just ripping away from everybody. It's absolutely astounding.
He is good on this racetrack. He won this race a year ago. He also won the fall race here at Talladega. So it's been 2 in a row. He's trying to become only the 3rd driver in Talladega history as we follow Charlie Glotzbach's march toward the front to win 3 in a row. Buddy Baker did it in Winston Cup. Davey Allison did it in ARCA. And now Grant Adcox looks to become the 3rd driver to win 3 in a row here in Talladega.
One thing for sure, they're still battling back there in the pack. 4th, 5th, 6th. There's Ralph Jones going to the high side of Gibson, rookie of the year. Keselowski is right in there. Charlie Glotzbach there on the right-hand side of your screen, the number 49. Glotzbach appeared before the red flag to be at least the 2nd fastest car on the Speedway. He's trying to make his way back to the front. Meanwhile, Adcox is disappearing. I mean, literally disappearing in the distance. Glotzbach is scratching and clawing. The lead is now up to 8 seconds already.
Charlie Glotzbach is in 8th position in that white car, number 49, after having made a pit stop before the green came out. 79 of 117 laps are completed at Talladega and Alabama International Motor Speedway. Jerry Punch and Dick Berggren back at Talladega, Alabama International Motor Speedway. There's the leader, Grant Adcox. He has about a 10-second lead now on 2nd place. Brett Farmer and Bill Venturini comes into the pit area, and things are not looking good for Bill. Remember, this is a borrowed race car. He wrecked his in practice on Saturday and therefore could not start on the pole, and he is coming into his pit area and pulling behind the wall.
Bob Venturini came with a brand new sponsor. Somebody told me he'd been working on for 5 years this weekend, the K&L Spring and Stamping people up in the Chicago area. He did put the car in the pole. He did garner some more headlines, but not the way he wanted to, by getting upside down to the tri-oval late yesterday afternoon. But he, along with everybody else in the field to this point, can't keep up with that man right there, Grant Adcox.
The Chattanooga, Tennessee driver is in the lead in car number 2. Now, we've been timing these guys unofficially on stopwatches, and Grant was about 199 miles an hour. Let's see if he's picked up that pace as we time him on this particular lap, and then we'll see how fast Charlie Glotzbach is going. Here he comes through the tri-oval. He crosses the line, and our clock begins.
Bob, Grant told me that if things are running well for him in the last half of the race, he would like to ideally be in the high 190s. 200 miles an hour is a little bit stronger pace than what he feels the car can withstand here for 500 kilometers or 300 miles at Talladega. So if he is up into the high 90s, 198, 199, that's an indication that not only is he burying everybody else, but he is completely in command. He's exactly where he wants to be. Remember, he won both of the ARCA races here a year ago, so he knows how to win and what pace to run here at the Big T.
All right, he's about to complete this lap now that we're timing. Coming through the corner and stopping our clock at an even 48 seconds. Now, in terms of miles an hour, that translates to, we'll let our computers go to work here and we'll see what it is. It's about 199.5 miles an hour, so he has definitely picked up the pace here in just the last few laps, trying to stay ahead of Charlie Glotzbach, who is living up to his name and charging toward the front. There's 2nd and 3rd now. Charlie Glotzbach in 49, and behind him the 97 of Brett Farmer running in 3rd position. Next time around, we'll get a clock on Charlie and see how he compares to Grant Adcox.
Charlie just completed the toughest assignment of the day. He came out after a late pit stop and worked his way through the 13th through the 2nd place cars. They're all strong runners. And just for good measure, he had a couple of lap cars who have been running strong all day, like Dave Simcoe and Gary Bettenhausen going in there. And Charlie Glotzbach just picked his way through all of them. It was the toughest job that anybody had to complete in this day, but I will be very surprised if he is running faster than Adcox. I had the feeling he's probably about a mile an hour slower. We'll see how it times out.
Okay, now remember, Grant Adcox turned in a lap of 48 seconds, 199.5. We're timing Charlie Glotzbach, running in 2nd position. He's already halfway down the backstretch here at Talladega, entering the 33-degree banking of turn number 3. This time by, Charlie will not only stop our clock, but he'll complete lap number 89 as we near the closing laps of this 500-kilometer race. Here's Klotzbach now, moving through the corner of the tri-oval. And there it is. Well, it's just a tick of a watch slower than the time turned in by Grant Adcox. Grant had a 48 flat, and Charlie Klotzbach registers a 48.1, 199.48 compared to Grant's 199.5.
Yeah, faster than I thought. You got to say it's the same pace. Adcox might be off of it by about, maybe a half a tenth, because he now knows by radio from the crew that he has a substantial lead. And I don't believe that Klotzbach is fast enough to catch Grant. Grant is on a quarter of a lap ahead, and a quarter of a lap on a 2 2/3 mile speedway is almost a mile. But we'll see how it works in terms of caution flags and pit stops here in the latter stages. Yellow flag coming out.
Debris on the backstretch. Caution period comes out. Let's hope the drivers see it and nobody hits it. It's lying just about halfway down the backstretch, and it necessitates our 6th caution period of the day. 91 laps now, and this is going to bunch up the field, and Chargin' Charlie may take command here. We'll see.
Bob, we're inside the window where if you pit now, you can go the rest of the way. I'll bet everybody chooses to come in. If they don't, I would indicate to them, I think it would be the wisest thing, because we are inside of 30 laps to go, which is the normal distance you can pit.
Oh, a fire in the pit area. We see a fire as we look down in the pit area, some huge flames coming from, and we have an individual who appears to be maybe involved in
Bill Scott's car. A serious fire. We saw a pit crewman out on pit road, and Bill Scott's car has gone up in flames.
And there you see a crew member who obviously has been...
There's still flame underneath there. There's still fire on his clothing.
This is not a very pleasant sight to see, as serious trouble has erupted in the pits.
And we've got fire in the pit area, too, on the other side of the cement wall.
And obviously there are gas tanks all over that area, so I would think that we are in a very serious situation as the extinguishers are coming out now, but there is just a tremendous amount of fire near that Bill Scott car.
Similar to a situation that occurred at the Michigan International Speedway a few years ago during an Indianapolis car race, when fire erupted in the Herm Johnson pits, but they still have not gotten that under control.
Look at Jeff Bodine
is helping out. Jeff Bodine has grabbed a fire extinguisher. He's going after Bill Scott's car, and Jeff is jumping right in there.
Boy, he sure is, and I would think that Jeff is in a tremendous amount of danger there, because with the amount of fire that we saw down there, it can continue to spread.
It looks like control now, though, Bob. It does look like they're under control. That car is still flaming up, but the flames in the pits on the other side of the cement wall, which is really the biggest threat, seem to have died down. The black smoke is no longer billowing. There are still some flames.
Well, that is just a tremendous move on the part of Jeff Bodine, who saw a fellow race driver and fellow crew members in trouble, and without hesitation whatsoever, jumped right in and helped battle the flames that we saw from this Bill Scott car. There's Jeff now giving some directions to fire crews. And there is the pit member who was involved in some flames, lying in the middle of the pit area, and the ambulance right there to put him in the ambulance and take him to a facility. So pit stops are being made by the race drivers themselves as the fire is now apparently under control in the pit area. Back in just a moment at Talladega. Next lap, but we have been cleaning up a very serious fire in the pit area for the last few laps. There is the charred remains of the Bill Scott pit area. Bill's car involved in the flame, and Jerry Punch talked with him.
Bill Scott, a fiery problem here on pit road. What happened?
I don't have any idea. We were making just a regular scheduled pit stop, and right when I started to go back out, the fire came up right beside my door. So I don't know whether it came from the front of the car or the back of the car.
Now, we saw you bail out of the right side of the car and go across to the grass. One of your crewmen back there possibly got a little bit of a burn?
Yeah, I don't know how bad. We've not been able to find out yet.
Do we know who that is?
No.
Okay, Bill Scott, fortunately, he climbed out of the car, and he is okay. The safety crew's there immediately. The fire has been extinguished here in the Bill Scott pit.
All right, and one of those helping battle the flames was Winston Cup competitor Jeff Bodine, who unhesitatingly jumped right in there with the fire extinguishers when he saw this major blaze in the pit area. We understand now that 4 crew members were involved in the fire as far as burns are concerned. 1 suffered only minimal burns. 3 others are being airlifted to a hospital in Birmingham. Lap number 99 about to be clicked off, and the green flag will come back out. We've got 18 laps of competition remaining. There's the green flag coming out, and Charlie Glotzbach is once again in the lead of this 500-kilometer race at Talladega.
Boy, some close competition at the drop of the green flag. All the people who are chasing that man right there in the white Chevy, Charlie Glotzbach, were jockeying for position. It looked like a short track start as they dove into that 200-mile-an-hour first turn. There's Glotzbach. Keselowski is right behind him. He's a lap down. That Shaft in the red number 75, he's a lap down. In second place was Ralph Jones. There's the helicopters leaving, transporting the burned crew members from the incident.
Second position is the red number 92, driven by Ralph Jones, the 3rd car in line, and in 3rd position, the 4th car in line, the number 01 of Dave Fletcher. Another lap is completed.
It seems as though Glotzbach's most stiff competition, there's Charlie again, should come from Grant Adcox. He pitted late. I do not understand. There's Adcox in 4th in line now. He's moving up quickly. I don't understand why everybody didn't come in immediately when that yellow flag came out inside of that 30-lap window, or more than 90 laps had gone past. Obviously, it was not that much of a penalty or delay for Adcox. He is now in second position and closing quickly on Charlie Glotzbach.
And a spin. And 2 cars involved, some hitting the wall. Other cars now become involved. Several hit the wall. Another fire breaks out.
Tracy Reed was involved. I think that was Tracy's car that flamed up. The flyer seemed to snuff itself out. But there must be 8 or 10 cars down there. It happened right in the top 10. Tracy Reed, I can see Patty Simcoe's car was involved. Terry Pearson is in there. Rick Jeffrey. There are several. There's Patty's car and Jeffrey, the 2 we just mentioned. Movement in both of their cars. There's Rick O'Brien car, Mark Gibson, Keith Seegars.
Gibson was the leader of this race. There's Tracy Reed's machine, the backup Cale Yarborough Hardy's car that has been seriously damaged. Bobby Jack's car also involved, the 71 car. There you see some drivers getting out.
Bob, I'll tell you what, and there is Tracy Reed making some type of gesture to, maybe he thinks the car is still on fire. We have completed 101 laps. There are 16 laps to go. A long ways around here at Talladega. There is, however, an outside possibility. There's Tony Spanos, by the way, and Bob Breback. There's a possibility remote that this race is over. We'll see how it unfolds.
Well, let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, who is right down there where this accident occurred. Jerry?
Well, the safety crews are certainly getting out, getting in position here in turn 4. A number of cars, at least 8 or 9 cars now, totally involved. The safety crews on the scene. We saw Don Marmer's car pull up and away. Tracy Reed climbed from his car. Patty Simcoe involved. The car is still sitting there. The safety crews had just been able to remove some of the burned drivers from the accident up in one of the pits earlier on pit road. Now they have to go back to work. They had to get back in position. They were very close to this accident, so all trucks were there immediately. They will get the drivers out. We'll try to give you a further report in just a few moments.
Well, the medical personnel have really had a workout here in the last few laps as they were tending to some burn victims of that fire in the pit area, and then this multi-car accident breaks out just off turn number 4, entering the tri-oval. Most drivers, we believe, have climbed out of their cars and appear to be all right. We'll get further word as time goes along. Now we'll take a look at this incident to see if we can tell what happened.
A red car has hit the wall on the outside. Is that Gary Bettenhausen? I can't tell from this distance. It appears to be Gary. Bobby Jacks is running on the bottom side. There's Tracy Reed spinning, and now Jacks and Reed are backing up right in front of the field. Walwack is that it's Simcoe just getting through. Jacks goes back into the wall, as does the other car spinning. Gibson is down on the bottom of the racetrack, and then there is just nowhere for anybody to go. That blue car is Rick Jeffrey. You can see the flame coming up. And again, we were speculating that was coming from Tracy Reed's car. and there is just nowhere for the people behind to go.
Rick Jeffrey had scrubbed off quite a bit of speed, but he went into the wall almost head on.
Take another look at near the end of it. There you can see there's Tom Usry, the red number 70. There's Reed going sideways into the group, and yes, it is Reed's car that flames up. There he is, the 28 car. You can see the Hardee's logo on the side depositing flame on the grass there. Keith Seegers again. There's Jeffrey backing across. He's already made that hard contact Bob was referring to on the outside wall. And Bobby Jack's there on the right-hand side of your screen, and everybody behind him looking for a place to go. There's Usry. He's still involved. Brevacken, 34 on the left-hand side of your screen, and he is blasted as he backs across the racetrack.
Well, a lot of wrecked cars down in turn number 4. There is one of them. Dick Berggren is with Don Marmer, one of those involved in this multi-car crash.
Your car's really trashed. What happened up there?
Well, there was about 3 cars spinning in turn 4, and I was probably a couple thousand feet behind and seen it, and it was staying up toward the high side of the track, so I started to aim down low. As I went down low in turn 4, I got hit on the left side by another car behind me. And then everything just broke loose from that point.
You're all right?
I'm fine. The car's kind of screwed up.
Yeah, there are a lot of cars that are really a mess. Back up to you, Bob.
All right, thank you, Dick. 14 laps remain in this race, and as Larry indicated a little while ago, there's a good possibility, I think, that this race may not go back under green, although if they clean it up, of course, it will. Charlie Glotzback is the leader, back after this.
Seventh caution flag of the afternoon.
Thank you for your order, and be sure to look for your free gift. Would you like to receive a free gift, too? I'll be right back to show you how.
Roger, Mother Goose. Radar locked on target. 00532 miles. Looks like a piece of cake.
Even with millions of dollars worth of computerized guidance systems, heat-seeking missiles, and state-of-the-art avionics.
Fox 1, missile away.
It's still the cool steel nerves of the pilot that wins battles.
He's going down. Trouble. 2 bogeys in my 6. I'm out of here. Looks like I've lost him. Correction, he's on my tail. Just fired.
And you can fly with these pilots in the Epic of Flight, the Time Life book series that follows the history of aviation, beginning with the fighting jets. This is the book that lets you fly over Mig Alley in Korea and sit in the earliest jets with a gun's eye view of battle. Relive the war of 1,000,000 sorties in Vietnam. Dance across the desert in Mirage 3 during the battle over Sinai. And fly to victory over the Falklands in the amazing Harrier jump jet. Each book traces a different chapter capturing the greatest moments in aviation, highlighting the pilots that made the difference. And it starts with the fighting jets. So call toll-free and begin your adventure in the Epic of Flight.
Sierra Hotel. Bogey going down. Give me a vector. I'm coming home.
Hi, I'm Carol at Time Life Books. Call now and receive your first book, Fighting Jets, for 10 days free. Keep it, pay $13.95 plus shipping and handling. Other books will follow, one every other month. Keep only the ones you want, cancel at any time. If you call now, you'll also receive this digital watch free with your purchase. Call 1-800-922-4400. That's 1-800-922-4400.
Kudos to the cleanup crew here. They've done a great job, and we're going to see some action, some race action to the finish. 8 laps to go. They're about to complete lap number 109. The green flag comes out. It's a battle into turn number 1 between Charlie Glotzback on the inside and Grant Adcox in the orange and white car on the outside, and Grant Adcox takes the lead.
I thought that Glotzback had made the right move. He tried to bring the field down in a controlled manner. He tried to stay as close to Keselowski as he possibly could. But the vastness of Talladega is what allowed Grant Adcox to make his move. He just reared back, pinned his ears back, and put his foot down to the floor.
This is the first time through the area of the crash that we saw a few minutes ago. There could be some slick pavement up there because of the oil. Everybody moves through very nicely, though, but Grant Adcox has the lead. It's about now a 7 or 8 car length advantage on Charlie Glotzback. Running in 3rd position is the 92 of Ralph Jones. 4th is Fletcher, and 5th is Lee Raymond. Remember remember last year when Grant Adcox would come off the second turn, he would always take that car to the low side of the backstretch to try to break the draft, and that's exactly what he's doing now. Charlie Glatzbach, though, is hanging right in there with him.
Charlie Glatzbach, the veteran full-size stock car racer. He has got to stay close enough to perhaps catch that draft, and maybe, just maybe, he can pull off one of those ancient, I say ancient because the new cars have kind of disrupted the pattern, but patented slingshot moves. Right now, he's a little too far back to be able to pull it off, but he still has a chance. He's got to crank off a couple of perfect laps here to get inside of Grant Adcox's slipstream.
What a tremendous pace Grant Adcox is setting. That last lap was over 203 miles an hour as he tries to hold off the challenge of charging Charlie Glatzbach.
But Glatzbach is making Grant be perfect. Look at Grant taking an exaggerated move down the backstretch, almost to the apron. That man, Charlie Glatzbach, the son of Indiana, follows suit. And Grant is trying desperately to struggle, tugging away. It's like in a tug-of-war match. He's not been able to shake Charlie, but he's so far been able to keep enough distance away that Charlie can't get him in one of those last lap passes.
This time will complete lap number 112. 5 more laps to go. Grant Adcox and Charlie Glatzbach are going for the win here at Talladega. We're going to take a commercial break and be back with the finish of this Permatex ARCA 500.
I tell you, honey, having a Coleman camping trailer will be fantastic. And we get a free canopy and screen room if we buy now.
Look at this interior. Gorgeous.
Coleman's the best, and they're giving away the canopy and screen room.
The bed is so comfortable, and these curtains.
Yep, Coleman has it all. Everything you could want.
And look at the galley. There's a stove and a sink.
And the canopy and screen room are free.
Think of all the places we're going to go.
And we'll have a room with a view.
Extended through May 30th at Pat's Coleman Camper Sales, 1702 Brant, Dayton.
It's true, we have a lot of fun, but we save you a lot of money at Steve Tatone Used Cars Northwest. We save you money because we've got the car you're looking for in stock at a price you can afford. We have a lot of fun because of people like Todd Morgan. Todd, tell us about this Buick.
We've got an 83 Buick Regal here, Steve. Beautiful car. Power windows, power door locks, air conditioning, $69.95.
For best offer this week, stop out, see us this week at Steve Tatone Used Cars Northwest.
Coming this fall to ESPN. The best of the NFL. From preseason contests to 8 Sunday night clashes and the season finale Pro Bowl, you'll see it all live on ESPN. From start to finish this year, pro football duels here on the exclusive cable home of the NFL, ESPN.
You're watching the 24-hour Total Sports Network, ESPN.
Back at Talladega for the closing laps of this 500-kilometer race. It's still Grant Adcox leading Charlie Glatzbach. This completes lap number 113. We have got 4 more laps to go. Can Charlie catch him, Larry?
Bob, I'll tell you, they say football is a game of inches. Right now, this is a game of millimeters. Glatzbach had a very good turn 1 and 2 the last lap while we were away in commercial, and he inched up a little bit on Adcox. But this lap, Grant seemed to get a little bit of an advantage on him going through 1 and 2. So it's a real struggle. It's just a matter of strength. It's like trying to lift 500 kilos if you've only lifted 450 in your life before. And Adcox right now is holding on to just barely enough of an advantage.
Off of turn number 4 onto the tri-oval, still several car lengths separating Grant Adcox and Charlie Glatzbach. 3 more laps to go in this race that has seen just a little bit of everything. We had a 20, make that a 34-minute rain delay. We have seen many crashes, a terrible fire in the pit area, and now the closing stages of this race, as we have seen throughout the race, tremendous competition.
Well, Bob, I never did answer your question. Do I think Charlie can catch him? No. I got to say that Glatzbach has got to be the sentimental favorite here of most of the people who are watching. I think that Adcox just has a little bit of an edge. Look at this battle for third. Boy, it's a good one, too. Now, there are a couple of lap cars in there.
That involves number 92, Ralph Jones, also Red Farmer, Bobby Waywack, Lee Raymond, all of those going for position, and position changes are being made. Look at Red Farmer on the top of the racetrack.
Boy, they are really mixing it up. Farmer lost some ground on the racetrack during the last set of pit stops, but he was able to come back up, and he has ascended to third position. Red Farmer is now third. Jones is fourth. He's been on the lead lap all day long. And Glotzback, as we are watching this, Bob, is dropping way back.
The other car involved in this battle for position, Dave Fletcher, number 01. He's the last car in the line there. Charlie Glotzback is dropping back in second position. I don't think it's going to be all that good a race for the lead, but this battle for third will shape up into a dance.
As a matter of fact, when Glotzback went by the last time, I figured, oh, my ears must be playing tricks on me. The car did not sound at full song. He may have to really struggle to hold on to the runner-up spot.
Here's the white flag displayed by Harold Kinder, and there's one more lap to go around this 2.66-mile Talladega, Alabama International Motor Speedway. It's quite a sizable lead for Grant Adcox, and he is going to walk away with his third consecutive victory here at Talladega.
Charlie is fading fast. It could be just a race to the line for second place, because the rest of the people are moving up rapidly, and they are battling for position, fighting among themselves.
Grant Adcox, meanwhile, sets the car low into turns number 3 and 4. He is just a few feet away now from that checkered flag that will make him the winner of this 500-kilometer event. Here he comes through the tri-oval. Grant Adcox from Chattanooga, Tennessee, wins the ARCA Permatex 500-kilometer race here at Talladega. And finishing in second position is going to be Charlie Glotzback. Third, Red Farmer. Fourth position goes to Waywack. And I believe that Fletcher then and Lee Raymond.
Yep, I think that's the way they came across. Raymond was trying to draft Waywack and maybe propel both of them past Fletcher, but it didn't work out that way.
Just a tremendous record for Grant Adcox. He won both ARCA races last year here at Talladega, and he has won here today again. 500 from Talladega has been brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. Well, Grant Adcox has put his name in the record books with his third consecutive win here at Talladega. Here's Dick Berggren in victory lane.
Well, Grant Adcox, you seem out of breath, but you sure have the patent on this place.
I wish there was a patent. For a while, I thought it wasn't.
You have done something only 2 drivers have done in history. You've won 3 in a row here. To what do you attribute your success?
I do a lot of chassis work, some good people, and to the Lord.
Grant Adcox in victory lane here at Talladega. Bob?
Thank you. The top 5 finishers. Charlie Glotzback was second, Red Farmer third, Bobby Waywack fourth, and Dave Fletcher finished fifth. The most seriously injured fire victim in the pits was Harry Rummel. Second and third degree burns, our best to him. So, we leave you with Grant Adcox celebration in victory lane. Thank you for joining us. For Larry Newber, Dick Berggren, and Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.